After revelations that military pundits like these have been secretly spinning for the Pentagon on America's network news, how are the networks themselves covering the scandal?
Are these retired military officials really just puppets of the Pentagon? Howard Kurtz takes a closer look for us.
CNN analyst Don Shepard, a retired general, said he never provided anyone's point of view but his own.
I feel no pressure whatsoever to do anything other than prevent my honest opinions about what's going on. I certainly did not feel compelled to carry any message to anybody.
But Kurtz didn't ask any of the obvious tough questions, like why so many of Shepard's CNN appearances seem to directly echo Pentagon-drafted talking points obtained by the Times. And there was no mention of CNN's previous record of collaboration with the Pentagon.
I went to the Pentagon myself several times before the war started, met with important people there and said, for instance, at CNN, here are the generals we're thinking of retaining to advise us on the air and off about the war, and we got a big thumbs up on all of them. That was important.
It wasn't even something to hide ultimately. It was something to say to the American people on his own network, see, we're team players. We may be the news media, but we're on the same side and the same page as the Pentagon.
Instead of digging further into that relationship, Kurtz downplayed the importance of the story.
It's hardly surprising that career military men would be sympathetic to the Pentagon. And a half dozen generals did break ranks 2 years ago to assail Rumsfeld's handling of the war. The question is whether many of these analysts have been less independent than they appear on television.
But strangely, Kurtz ends there without bothering to answer that question, which, according to the Times reporting, is an unequivocal yes. Take General Paul Vallely.
What are we going to do then? It's a very well laid out plan.
We appreciate you plugged in, and I want everybody to know the General knows what he's talking about.
Except when he's mindlessly echoing Pentagon talking points instead of saying what he really thinks. Like in September 2003, when Vallely told Hannity and Combs, quote, "You can't believe the progress in Iraq," predicting the insurgency would, quote, "be down to a few numbers within months." But Vallely later admitted to the Times that, in fact, he thought the exact opposite was true. Pundits like him lied to the American people in order to curry favor with military leaders and defense contractors as part of a secret domestic psyops campaign. That's a huge scandal, and it's weird that CNN's morning show host seemed more troubled by it than their media critic.
Most of the TV and the radio military analysts have ties to military contractors, people who could possibly be making money on the war. Most would consider that a potential conflict of interest, maybe not even potential.
Nevertheless, there's been hardly any follow-up on this story in the mainstream media. Aside from Kurtz's piece on CNN and coverage on Democracy Now! And Salon, the story has already all but disappeared, leaving many Americans wondering if commercial media in this country has become a joke.
Remember when it started and it was kind of a big deal that some journalists were embedded with the troops? Well, this is great. As it turns out, it was more of an exchange program because they actually also had troops embedded with the journalists.
Don't let big media and the Pentagon off the hook so easily. Demand an investigation into the Pentagon pundit scandal and help keep fake news and payola pundits off our airwaves at freepress.net.